Good afternoon, and welcome to another episode of Jethro's Garage. What are we working on today? Dropping things. We have here is a 1971 Moto Ski Capri snowmobile. I've had this for several years. It was in fact featured in Vintage Snowmobiler magazine a couple years back. When I was bringing it here, I miscalculated a fuel stop, and I ended up having to siphon 3-year-old premix out of the tank of that and put it into the tank of my truck. Good times. Anyway, I made it. So I've already, using some compound, buffed a really nice shine into this hood. You can just barely make out. That sticker says Willie's Moto Ski Sales and Service. This machine came out of central Minnesota. That has the name of Staples, which is a town in, I believe it's Todd County. I've owned this for some years. It was a cheap swap meet purchase. It does not have the original engine, which would have been a Hearth. It has a Rotax that would have come off of a Ski-Doo. Now, that was in it when I got it. However, the exhaust that was used in the Ski-Doo did not have a support here, so this was hammered and clearanced for that when I got it. Well, it hits, it rattles, it vibrates. So what I plan to do is, I don't know if you knew that Tractor Supply was a great place to get snowmobile modification parts, but here you go. This is a Stanley IH1 muffler. In other words, a muffler for a Farmall Cub. I am going to cut, modify, mount this thing right in there. Alright. With a little bit of elbow and another head pipe off an old Ski-Doo muffler and some flex pipe, I think I can make something that's going to work okay. Besides, it's got a barefoot gas pedal, so you know it's going to be fast as hell. Anyway, I've taken a wire wheel. First I peeled the running board mats off, then I took a wire wheel, cleaned all the loose rust off. I've treated it with Ospo. I've used it in the past. It's sort of a rust lock. And when that's done, I'm going to put a good thick coat of Rust-Oleum with a brush on there just to seal that up. Anyway, both headlights do work. I have the ragged remains of the original seat, and these had a really neat seat. Originally, it was just all so 70s, but it was a pleated orange, and this is the original trunk that was on it, but it's in really bad shape. It's plastic, it's disintegrating, and yeah, you can buy a fiberglass reproduction, but I'm not really going that route. By the time I buy that reproduction trunk and I get reproduction upholstery, I will have well over $400 just into the seat. So I'm just going to do something really simple. Plywood, foam, black vinyl stapled over it, and I may just bolt like an ammo box or something on there. But anyway, what else do I have to do? I got to pull the skis off, make some wear bars, and give them a paint job. So anyhow, that's where we're at right now. I may have to wet sand the windshield to bring it back. The hood came back pretty nicely. Anyhow, that's where we're at now. So let me get fabricating on this exhaust. Alright, a few hours later, and here we are. Basically, I decided to try to avoid using flex pipe because it doesn't last long. I've got a slip joint here. I'm going to have to get some springs to hold that. I ended up having to trim the end of the tailpipe of the muffler and use the flange off the old exhaust. I did end up having to open the hole up in the belly pan a little bit. But overall, it turned out pretty decent. I still want to add a brace. Like, I'm going to put a hose clamp around there and get a flat piece of metal and make a little brace to go across there. But anyway, I'll fire it up and let you hear. Now, don't expect it to be quiet because it's not. but I've done a machine with a glass pack before and it was much louder. This is still quieter than a straight pipe. Still got to make some finishing touches. The gas tank's got some kind of nasty old gas in it. I just need to clean it out and plumb it up, and I can get it working on the tank again. But I think I've accomplished for today what I set out to do. Time to clean up and do a few other chores around the place. Next, we needed to make some new skags for the skis. Those are pretty worn down flat. So I've made some on a round bar. And it's real important, safety in the shop, make sure that there's just absolutely no flammable materials, you know, anywhere near your work area. Alright, making a base for the seat, 1/2-inch ply. I had to weld up off of the existing hooks that were kind of half rusted off there. Put a couple carriage bolts in, drop them through the rear with a couple nuts. You'll take them off, pull back, and it'll come up. I'm going to chamfer the edges with a grinder. I got some foam that I salvaged from the dumpster at the boatyard where somebody had put some new cushions on their boat. And I got this black vinyl that I got off of Amazon. What do you think, buddy? What do you think? Yeah? Alright. Seems we have a crunched in part here. Borrowed something from work. See if this works. Oh, look at that. Seems we've pushed it out. Hey! Alright, so I've done the seat. Basically, I added 1 inch of foam, made it a little thicker. I found some egg crate foam. I stapled the vinyl along the bottom edge of the plywood, wrapped it over the foam, stapled it back. It's not as neat as a job that's sewn, but you know, something I never did learn how to sew, and I wasn't very good at it. So anyway, considering the plywood was found discarded at the boatyard, as was the foam, I have, I think, $17 in that seat. So follow me for my more low buck rehabilitation tips. So every video has to have a culmination. And I realized that I made a bunch of videos on this machine, and I've never had one where I've got it actually all together. And where are we today? Where are we today?
We are in Pymatuning Lake.
Pymatuning Lake.
Pymatuning State Park.
Pymatuning State Park in Pennsylvania. Yes, folks, I drove 750 miles just to meet up with some other vintage sled folk and show things off. And why not? Here we have a Gilson. I know, you're used to seeing rototillers and lawnmowers. Gilson.
Yeah, I think they use the same hoods on
made snowmobiles, and yes, I think they did use the same hoods on the tractors. Over here we have a 67 Skidoo Olympic in really nice shape. We have a 73 Skidoo Nordic. Check this out, reverse. A Chrysler SnowRunner, which is an interesting machine. They didn't make them real long. We have an Arctic Cat Panther of 1970 vintage. We have a Yamaha Enticer, I'm going to say somewhere early 80s. Another Chrysler Snow Runner. An Arctic Cat Kitty Cat, which was a machine I really liked when I was a little kid, but you know, I had those mean parents that would never buy me one. I'm just kidding, my parents were quite nice. I've got a Ski Roll. It was a division of the Coleman Company. We have an Arctic Cat EXT. I will bet you this is a wickedly fast machine. And did you know that Arctic Cat made lawnmowers? Yes, we have an Arctic Cat Grass Cat. So here we have it. And now we're going to go down to the other end of this display. And here we have a collection of machines owned by a guy named Mark Swartzlander. We've got a Johnson Rampage, we've got a Scorpion, we've got a late model Johnson, and I think this guy has the coolest snowmobile hauling machine I've seen in a long time. So if you want airbrush work, contact this guy.
Diamond cut heads and everything.
Ah, even the dashboard is striped. Even the roof, yes, absolutely.
That box sticker on the front.
This thing's cool.
Yeah.
And if there was actually snow here, this thing would be employed to groom the trails. Unfortunately, winter has been a bust for this local snowmobile club here in northwestern Pennsylvania. And check out the fancy paintwork on this chaparral.
End of March 1993 was a 2-foot blizzard in PA. He says it was here. He goes, you just never know when that's got a hammer on it.
This is so neat. Anyway, I'm probably and I love the way a boat trailer was repurposed to haul all these snowmobiles. Anyway, this is the, I guess this is the end of my video on the Moto Ski. Sorry if I tend to ramble, but I'm sure my 1 or 2 subscribers will forgive me. Jethro out.